My name is Brian White. I'm the Assistant Regional Administrator for Construction in the South Central region. Our region goes from North Bend to Chinook Pass, over to White Pass, down to Sadis Pass, and then all the way to the Idaho border. I'm responsible for oversight of all the construction work in this area. We have a very large region with a very diverse topography and climate. We go from the mountains all the way down to the shrub steppe, down to the wheatlands in the Clarkson area. And behind me is Lake Ketchlis. This is one of our region's bigger projects. It's the I-90 Snoqualmie Pass East project. We're looking at making improvements to a 15-mile corridor starting in Hyack. That's about where our maintenance area is, all the way down to Easton. We're currently funded for the first 5 miles, starting at Hyack down to about the end of the dam. We have additional funding to do the next 2 miles, which we're working on the design work right now. Our first contract stretched from Hyack down to the snowshed. Our prime contractor was Cooney Construction out of the Spokane area. They're almost finished. They'll be finished this year, fall of 2013, with the first approximately 2.5 miles. Our second contract is Atkinson Construction is our prime contractor. They will be replacing the snowshed with a new bridge. That's going to start about where the old snowshed is, and then just to the other side, Resort Creek down by the dam. And they are scheduled for completion in the 2017-2018 time frame. So those are our main 2 contracts, and then of course our next phase will be the phase 2A contract, which will start at Ketchlis Dam and then go down towards Stampede Pass. See right there, water now backs up underneath the bridges, and so that allows us to mitigate for our lake storage impacts. And also reconnected, there's some wetlands on the other side of the bridge, can't see it from here, but it allows those to kind of be reconnected. And then this bridge right over here is actually one that's really dedicated to move the wildlife up from the Alpine Lakes Wilderness down to the lake and around the lake here. So all kind of works right here with the topography and the lake, and then the habitat that we have up above there in the valley. Kind of the whole idea was to make this roadway more permeable for wildlife to cross either underneath the roadway and then in future phases actually over top of the roadway. So this is phase 1B, and this actually extends the 6 lane, which kind of stopped at the bottom of the hill here. We have 6 lanes starting in Seattle, coming up through Issaquah, North Bend, and then it necked down to 4 lanes here, where we see most of the congestion on the weekend start. We're pushing the 6 lanes ultimately to Easton. This first phase contract, phase 1B, goes from Hyack, that's where our maintenance area is, down to just before the snowshed. We've been working on that the last few years. It's nearly completed. It'll be completed this fall. What they have left is to do the tie-in work and some cleanup work. So that's about the first 2.5 miles that are almost done this year. What we have here is what we call rolling slowdown. As part of D.O.T's commitment to the public, in our EIS, we said we would keep 2 lanes of traffic open during peak travel times, and so contractors not allowed to close the roadway to neck it down to 1 lane during the daytime when we see our higher traffic volumes. A lot of people don't understand what the rolling slowdown does, because they get slowed down and then they get through the work zone and then they speed back up and they never saw anything that slowed them down. Well, that means the rolling slowdown was successful in that the contractor was able to either move equipment into the project, was able to push rock off the roadway, or push it off the hillside with not impacting the public. So that's why you see those rolling slowdowns. They do them intermittently. They don't do them, every day. But if you get caught in one, that's what's happening. So you won't see any work or anything, going on right when you get up to the job sites. Funding kind of stops. Well, this project stops here, and then the next one takes off and goes. We'll drive to the end of its limits, but phase 2A contract starts here. We'll continue the 6 laning all the way down to just outside Stampede Pass. The work was scheduled to start in 2015 on this phase 2A contract, so another 1.5 years or so, and then you'll start seeing work on this contract in here. It's about a $100 million contract, and we'll make about 2 miles of improvements.
And making it a 6-lane road?
6-lane roadway with wider shoulders, more chain-up area, and some additional bridges in this area. And then this kind of gets us out of this lake section, which is, we're really kind of constrained. We have the lake on one side and the mountains on the other. Kind of flattens out a little bit as we move east. In Cleomas is 35 miles and it's 35 minutes. So, people are traveling about 60 miles an hour and it's not a problem. When I came up today, it was 35 miles and 40 minutes. So what it was picking up is some of these rolling slowdowns that it was taking the trucks longer to get through this area, and was recalculating that time. So I was trying to tell people it's going to take you a little bit longer to get through the pass. And we've really been doing a lot of work with intelligent transportation systems to try to get information out to the folks. And one that we did the last couple of years was flow maps. So you can go on the internet, and from Seattle to Ellensburg, you can kind of see it'll have areas that are green or yellow or red. Green mean free flowing, no issues. Yellow mean, hey, there's probably something going on here. And then red mean, or black mean that, hey, there's an accident or something and traffic stopped. And it's all trying to give people more information so they can make decisions about when they're going to travel over the pass. We do a big effort on the holiday weekends to get out travel graphs so people can make decisions like, do I want to go on Thursday night or Friday night? Based on historic traffic volumes. The only thing those things don't take into consideration is, what if we have an accident here, or a truck overturns? Then those travel graphs don't predict that, and then all bets are off on how long it's going to take you to get over the pass. We also have variable message signs that have information on it to help travelers. We also have 511, in which you can call before you leave, or pull over to the rest area and call on your cell phone to get information about what's going on in the pass. Just to make sure that people can get over. If you have an appointment that you've got to get over to, or you're catching a plane in Seattle, you've got to leave early or allow time to get over the pass, especially in the evening when we're doing our blasting. Go before the blast. That's what I tell people when they ask me about when's the best time to drive. It's like, go before the blast, because once we start blasting, we don't know how much rock is going down. We have theoretically how much should happen, but Mother Nature kind of plays some tricks in there, and some of the way the rock is put together doesn't always come out the way we thought about it. We've done a lot of geotechnical investigation before the contract started to identify what this face would look like as we were bringing it down. And what you see here is where they've blasted several lifts now and are bringing the hillside down, and you'll see bolts scattered along here, and those are rock bolts to kind of hold the hillside together. And the idea is that you can see how it's kind of fractured and stuff, is you want to build a big mass. And so the way you do that is you drill a hole into the hillside, put one of these anchors in, grout it, and then bolt it together, and you get a nice big rock mass. Usually they blast every other day. They try to drill and get it all ready for blasting, and then blast. So we do that in the evening, and we do it an hour before sunset. So in the springtime we start earlier and start around 7 o'clock. Right now it's up to 8 o'clock. It'll move a little later here as the days get a little more longer. And then once we get to the point where the days start getting shorter, then that time goes backwards. So in August and September time frame, we start going back to that 7 o'clock blasting time. By contract, the contractor's allowed to have an hour closure, but sometimes the rock wasn't kind of how we thought it would be, and we get more material down on the roadway, so it takes the contractor longer time to clean up. Or we'll get up here and there's a lot of loose material, and we don't want to leave it sitting there because it could slide off into the roadway, so we have to push it down and get that moved. So just for the traveling public, we try to get it open as soon as possible. Once we blast, there's no guarantee we'll be done in that hour. Our contractor does bring extra equipment, does everything in their power to make sure that they have the tools and resources available to minimize that. But this summer so far, we've had several days now where we've gone longer than an hour. We've gone 2 and 3 hours just trying to get it. Usually we can get the eastbound lane open, within that hour time frame. If you're coming from Seattle, it's usually not an issue. It's just going westbound. That's where the rock that's where it wants to go, into that lane. We'll push the traffic barrier. So down below is the contractor's rock fence. It's basically old storage containers, and the idea is that as they're moving material up here, if rock comes down, that it'll hit those containers and not bounce into the roadway. You can kind of see on top of the one container some rocks. We get a lot of little rocks that kind of fall off here, but the whole idea is protect the public from this material. A lot of this material has been blasted, it's just kind of sitting in place until they can get up here and haul it off. And you see on top there's like a little green instrument, and those are an EDM survey equipment that's actually scanning the hillside just to see if there's any movement once we blast. And then, like right now, it's hooked up to a computer, and then will let us know if there's any excessive movement that is happening, such that, hey, we need to close the road down, or we need to do something differently because maybe some of the rock is moving. So far, knock on wood, so to speak, we haven't had really any issues with the hillside continually moving after blasting, but just one of the things we're doing to monitor the hillsides. There's actually targets on the hillside here that it's actually shooting, and it automatically does that, and it just measures, okay, it was here at this time, now where is that point at after an hour or so.